What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another Trader's Nook podcast. Today on the podcast, I got to sit down with VINNY EMINI. I wanted to bring Vinny on the podcast because I think his approach to markets is very interesting and something I have not seen before in other trading communities. Vinny is a full stack programmer that has been trading for 15 years and created his own set of tools called AlgoBox to trade the market for himself. Think of an algo assisted approach to discretionary trading. Like all programmers who create software to trade their own capital, Vinny never intended to release AlgoBox to the public or show what it could do when he first started out. However, one of his friends insisted that he start live streaming what he had created on YouTube in 2016, and the rest is history, as they say. According to Discord, Vinny has over 30,000 people in his Discord room, which would make him one of the largest rooms in futures trading that I have ever seen. Granted, it is open to the public. To dive deeper into what AlgoBox is a suite of tools and strategies that draw powerful chart patterns such as harmonics, volumetric support and resistance lines, Fibonacci confluence, and many other things instantaneously across multiple timeframes without you having to lift a finger. The best part about Vinny, of course, besides his tools, is that he actually trades. It is hard to find people who have a suite of tools and use them to make money in the market. Vinny, over the last 8 years, has challenged many trading educators to trading contests and has won most of them. As he states in the interview, he loves competition. Currently, Ross Cameron started another small account challenge as of this recording date, and Vinny has taken it upon himself to try to beat Ross Cameron in a small account challenge. Now, Ross probably doesn't know this is happening, but for Vinny, it is to prove that his tools are the best around for growing a small account. However, winning these competitions with people who knew about them came at a cost for Vinny. When the people he challenged actually were aware of the competition and took it seriously, and Vinny won, they tried to dox him all over the internet, even trying to get his kids taken away from him by calling CPS, all over losing a competition. This interview will not dwell too much on all the intricate details of what has happened to Vinny, as I want to focus on his story and how he got into trading. But if you are interested in the hell he has been through, look at his YouTube channel or join his Discord room where all of this stuff is documented. All in all, Vinny is a great person and a great trader. And now the interview. All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another podcast episode. Today, I have a very special guest, VINNY EMINI. If you guys don't know him, he is the creator of AlgoBox, and I've been trying to get an interview with him for a couple of weeks now, and he finally agreed. So, Vinny, welcome to the podcast.
Awesome, great to be here. I'm excited, and we got to. It was fun getting to chat with you a little bit before and getting to know you. I've been hanging out with you a little bit on your Twitch feeds as well, having some gaming fun. I always tell people around here with our crew, it's if you're not having fun doing it, you're doing it wrong. So, but no, I'm really excited to be here and having a chat with you. And thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate it. So, Vinny, can you tell everyone kind of what your background is, how you got into trading, and how did you go about building AlgoBox and why?
Mind you, my background, I really went into computers very young, very early. Computers have been with me. My dad bought me my very first computer. I was 15 years old, going my freshman in high school. I got a 66 megahertz, thought I was so awesome, could play Doom. You remember Doom? Okay.
Yeah.
That was the first game, but it was Doom 2, apparently, because Doom had already been out. I couldn't get, but Doom 2 was coming out, and I was like, man, Dad, I've seen my buddies are playing this. We don't even have a computer. I grew up on Atari 2600. My dad had the wood grained Atari 2600 with the Pong stick thing, which you might be too young for that. I don't know. I'm 41. So did you have 2600? You know about that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't want to tell you on that.
Yeah, no,
so,
you're good.
We grew up with the Atari 2600 with the wood grain on it, but I wanted a computer so bad just to play that game. Now, that game actually probably launched everything for me because I wanted this game. I really didn't want to necessarily be a programmer. In fact, I wanted to be a doctor. So when I was going through school, I was studying biology, advanced biology, chemistry, human body. I was like obsessed with like how the human body works and how you can, of course, I wanted to get into working out and whatnot because I was a real skinny kid when I was growing up and I always got, I was the one getting picked on and whatnot. Then one year, some guy said, "Hey man, why don't you come over here and you're working out?" And he's like, "Hey, you got good arms. I think like we could get you big." And dude, I took that one compliment and it was crazy. It did something to me. I'll tell you, it's a good thing to speak good things to people because you can change people with your words. There's a passage that says that the power of life and death is in the tongue. So this guy spoke life into me one day and said something good. Next thing you know, I start getting bigger. The guys who were picking on me before, I throw one over a lunchroom table, and after that, it was like famous for like Vinny is no longer Unger, that little skinny guy, anymore. And remember Jason Milburn? Yeah, he took a leap over the lunchroom table that one day when he came at him again. The game itself caused me to try to go and code the game or code my computer so that it could run the game, which is weird.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because the first set of coding was actually for me writing batch scripts. So .bats back in the day, writing batch script to modify my memory and things, and then get you out of Windows 3.1 into DOS mode to run this game so that it could have all of the memory just on that game to run. So first sets of me going, okay, well, I could kind of code that. So just to make that game go, all of a sudden I had to learn all this stuff about my computer. While I was in the middle of that, I got a NATAS virus. I don't even know if anybody even remembers that virus. It was like,
I've never heard of that.
Somebody delivered like my first copy of the Doom 2 originally. NATAS wiped my computer. My machine got hosed. So I had to go out and seek out a person that could help me fix my computer. My neighbor across the street was big into computers. And so he was the one who really kind of started it all for me, because he's like, here's how we rebuild your operating system. Here's how we do all this stuff. So I'm like, wait, what? So, I was just planning on buying a computer, doing my thing, going to be a doctor, but oh, shoot, hey, computers just got introduced into my world. And so I start getting into computers. And when I was 16, I get my first job at a hospital, which is weird because I went in for a hospital job because I wanted to be in the hospital to do the doctor thing. But one of my friends was in HR. Her mom knew us and said, hey, we've got a position open that you're going to install a bunch of Windows 95 computers. This is like upgrading all of their computers in the whole place from like Windows 3.1 to Windows 95. So that was my first introduction. Like, now I've got that job, just doing computer stuff. So I'm this path to go to be a doctor, but I get diverted because like I'm playing this game and I had to reload my computer. So I know all this stuff about how to rework a computer. I'm installing operating systems, and I'm literally just installing operating systems all day at this job. Right. So that was my first intro. I go work at Exxon for a while. I do network administration stuff, I'm literally like plugging in network cables and learning how IP addresses and switching everything from token ring to Ethernet, which most people also don't know what token ring is. Like, that was around, and you're just like, oh, you're just plugging your Ethernet and this is how it works. But back in the day, we used to have token ring where literally everything was in this, it's literally a ring. And so just crazy stuff like that in my history, being in the right place at the right time. I went through a lot of technology shifts at the right age. So I have a lot of background in just a massive amount of that stuff. I did server administration, all that kind of stuff. I should have said that kind of stuff as I'm going through my college years. I was at Texas A&M University, and I was doing internships in the summer. I went from Exxon. We did, Link staffing. I worked for a group that I was their database administrator at some point, because I was just really dive bombed into anything that I get into. Like, I'm like all in, whatever it is. And I found out that I met one database administrator, but he was in this back room and he shows me the first query I've ever seen. He comes over there and he writes like one line and all this data comes out. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, what did you just do there? So he's like, I'm like, wait, that's cool. Hold on a minute. And like, I remember the car he drove. He drives this like super nice BMW, like the stretch front one. I think it was like the Z4 or something. I just kept thinking, I'm like, wait, that guy seems to be doing the least amount of work, but he's making the most money. Because I'm sitting over there, I'm in these closets, like plugging stuff in, pulling equipment out, and like so something clicked with me about money. My ultimate thing was I realized I wanted to get into data, so I really went into data hardcore. Through my college, anything that had anything data related as I'm going into college, I still did that, even though I was on a biology path. Any of my alternatives. You could have electives. I would take everything computer related, because my parents had also said, hey, technology is going to be the big thing in the future. Make sure you're taking techie stuff. But I'm like, still expecting that I'm going to be either a dentist, a chiropractor, or a doctor. Those were my three on the list that I'm going into college for. But then one day I'm sitting in class, I'm doing this chemistry thing. And, I've got my chemistry experiment person next to me. She's, I'm probably trying to impress her more than I am trying to actually pay attention in class. But she's sitting there next to me, and we're doing this thing. We're having to do the little beaker stuff, okay, in one of these labs. And I still remember sitting there thinking, I don't want to do this. I had just done an internship, and I went to a dentist office to watch the dentist to do their thing. There's some really bad stuff going on. I'm just saying, I saw something. I'm just picturing, people coming in, cleaning teeth, popping tooth every once in a while, put a cap in it, no. There are some bad things. I watched a few of those, and I realized, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Okay, I had that moment of like, I started feeling sick at my stomach, but I have an extreme aversion to like blood-based damage, meaning like injuries, like make me nauseous, stuff like this. And I'm pretty sure you can't be a doctor. So I have this freak out moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, I have all of this knowledge. I know all this stuff about the human body, and I've gone this path, and I'm like, I can't just turn around. So I'm stressing out. I talked to this girl about it. Okay. And she's like, it's okay. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do this stuff. And I'm sitting there. She basically tells me, you should change majors. And I'm like, I'm in my third year. Like, right. I'm president and beginning us all. If I tell everybody, like, everybody thinks I'm going to be a doctor. And now all of a sudden I go and tell everybody, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have this world shift that hits me. But because of that girl, I go and I have this hard conversation with my parents. I tell them about it, and they don't think I should change or whatever. And I'm just like, well, what should I do? My dad finds like, you know, Renee, maybe he should, you know, maybe we'll just let it, you know, technology's probably good. Maybe, I mean, you've been taking those electives, right? And you've been building those computers and all that stuff, right? And, you know, maybe you want to do the computer thing. And I'm like, thank you. So all of a sudden I am now gung-ho computers, and I am all in. Now, mind you, I feel like I've got makeup time. Okay. So I feel like because of that experience, it made me, it's almost like it forced me to go and learn everything. So bro, I was like in it. I bought all the books. I've got still my collection books behind me of all of the books that I did for coding. That is kind of where things really started to get in. And I just bore in, changed majors, went into computer science the rest of the way. So I've got a minor in chemistry and organic history, biology, and then finished out all my degree stuff in computer science with a side of business. So that's kind of where my direction went. I got internships and got picked up by Tennessee Management Company. It was like the first company right out of college that I was getting an internship with. They actually convinced me to like kind of stick with them, and that they would pay the rest of my college if I stuck with them. And so that's kind of where I ended up going that direction. Next thing you know, I'm working on servers. I'm doing Citrix implementations all around the country. So I have touched a lot of tech. So when you see everything coded up here, I'm not just a coder. That's the thing too, is I am what they call the full stack with hardware background. So I also know the technology that's there. And so I end up going IT. So finishing out with the IT thing, working in an IT centric company that's at the time, their business was actually apartments and condominiums building, but they were at major universities all over the country. So we would put in networks for them and use Citrix implementations, which is where, again, my first set of like all kinds of distributed networking and virtualized machines before VMware was even like cool. Like everybody now like knows about, you know, cloud and all that. Dude, this is like pre-cloud, folks. We would do private clouds, which again, people don't even know what that is.
Okay. So you have this massive background in tech, basically.
Yeah.
And so
the question is how did I get to trading?
Yeah. How did you get to trading?
So I am minding my own business, doing my tech, perfectly happy, I started out with 38 grand that I'm making at Tennessee Management Company, which I thought at that time, again, I had no concept of money when I was growing up. My parents never talked about money. We didn't really have money. I didn't grow up with money or anything like that. Didn't know. I thought $38,000. I mean, what was that hourly rate? I was making $18 an hour, and I was like, yeah, baby. I'm like, I had no idea. Had no idea at the time. Okay. And because I was working for Tennessee Management Company, they were an apartment-based company. They gave me an apartment thrown in for free. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, I'm making like 45 or something, you know, if you total it up. I just, you know, in my head, I just thought I was kicking it, right? And I am a techie guy. I'm just nerding out. That's where I'm starting out. Then I go into other companies, because then I come to find out that there was some guy. Here's my competitive streak, because now you're going to learn the other part about me is that I am extremely competitive. I was also MVP of my basketball team, which, yeah, I was point guard. I wasn't the tallest guy on the team, but I was a smart playmaker. So I like and I love the competition. And of course, Quake was in there. I got to back up. Don't forget Quake, because Quake has a lot to do with what my system is right now of being able to quick reaction time, you know, do the things. And I'm like, dude, I wanted to be good at Quake. I wanted to be up on that top ladder. I wanted my name to show up there. All right. So that's background. And I'm just basically, most of my time is I am doing my work. I'm coming home, playing Quake, trying to beat a bunch of people, talking to my girlfriend, talking to, you know, doing normal stuff, right? But then one day I'm in there and this guy named Jim, come to find out Jim, I'm like doing way more work. You know how that whole thing, you're in your work, you're at your job, and you're doing more than that other guy over there. Right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know that the boss man is like, he relies on you. He's going to ask Vinny, hey, Vinny, I got your opinion on stuff. You're giving all the good ideas. But Jim, come to find out, Jim is making, and I'll tell you the numbers, Jim's making $52,000. And I'm sitting over here and I was making 38 plus my apartment thing. Now, I don't remember how I found that out or who told what. Again, this is why people should never tell how much they make. But I found out, and it was a mistake. My next review, I go talk to my boss man. My boss man does give me a raise. I didn't say anything about what he got, but he raised me to 50K. Now, had I not known that jackass Jim, pardon my French, was making 52, that probably would have been no problem. But like at that moment, it was at this moment he knew he messed up. Okay, so at this moment, for whatever reason, I decided that this is my moment and I am going to go my first levels of beep, 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 beep. I am not, no, like, what are you talking about? Like, I do more around here. What's up? Anyway, basically, it did not go well. But I basically said, okay, well, I hope you enjoyed all that work I was doing because I'm out. He's like, I mean, he freaks out. My boss, Mike, he was freaking out. He's like, because again, I was very valuable to the team and whatnot. And I knew my value. I'm like, but you're not going to pay me less than that guy over there who's getting all the credit for my work. And I'm like, no. So I go out there and that day, I'm like, I start calling up other places and I get picked up immediately. Like with the experience that I had, I mean, I got picked up and I get a huge raise. I get to $75,000, which for me at that time, I mean, I thought I was on cloud nine. I think I was 23 years old. And I thought, man, 75K, awesome. I'm working at that place. And like, at the time, I'm also getting married. So that was the other thing. I got married right in there. And it's a girl back at A&M. I'm driving back and forth from Houston back and forth to College Station, which again, I was insane back then. I was working out all the time, probably too hyped up on creatine or whatever. But like, no sleep is that's a whole, game of things that I just got good at over time. So I'm sitting there and I'm going on to my next job. Then, I mean, there was this role where I just started getting raises like crazy. Because again, I was very good at what I did. When I dedicate into something, I'm all in. So I'm doing database tech now because my first job, I'm like writing that report writer thing. Remember that guy I told you about, the little nerd in the back? It's like writing reports. So I had studied how to be a report writer. Well, that's the first thing is being able to write queries. Well, then from being able to write queries, you can now start to control databases. And then from the control databases, now I go to database level 2, level 3, database administrator, senior database administrator. And then we move through into data tech where I'm actually coding all of the database technology, which is where that's what we're doing here with AlgoBox. But before that, I am sitting there, I get a raise, but I have to move to Dallas. Now, the reason that all happens because my ex-wife has a family. She wants to go and move closer to her peeps out in like Tyler, Texas. So we start looking. Okay, well, yes, I get this amazing job. They're going to pay me 120 grand a year to go over there and work for Syntex Homes doing their database coding and whatnot for them. Of course, the Syntex Homes is no longer around. You might want to notice this was around that crash, the whole crash thing. Keep that in mind because that's going to be important when we come back to the day trading crashage stuff. So we take a move, right? I literally put the house on the market. We're like, let's go, going to Dallas, moving to apartment downtown, literally 2 minutes from the thing. So I'm like at the office. I basically am the man at Syntex, but Syntex starts going under. They start having issues and whatnot. So I can, you can tell the writings on the wall. People are getting fired left and right, letting go. So I'm like up on calls again. And I go to a tech company, finance tech company. Now I'm sitting in there. Now I'm doing their database administration work, getting equal pay, still about 120K at that time, which mind you is about $500 a day. Remember this paper right here. Okay. We're going to come back to this because this paper came about because I needed to supplant my income with this job if I was going to do the day trading thing. So I'm sitting there and this guy named Tuan Nguyen. Tuan Nguyen is probably the reason that everybody can do what we currently do right now. So you guys can I'm going to have a moment. Hold on, Tuan. Give Tuan a hand, Tuan. And I'm like, hold on. So again, all of us in this little tech area, we're all coders making a lot. We're making six figures. But this guy's telling me he made $8,000 overnight. So I'm like, that's got my eyeballs like, bing. Okay, hold on. There might be something that I don't know. Because at the time, I think I'm a smart guy. Like I'm the guy like leading everything. And I'm the tech lead of the DBA team. And I'm like, wait a minute. But this guy who's working under me is telling me he just made $8,000 last night. So again, I'm like, my competitive edge is like going, bing, 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 right? Like you need to figure out how he did this. So me and Tuan start having lunches together. Okay. So Tuan starts to explain to me how the markets work as he knows it. I am 25, probably near 26 at this moment, because I officially started really going deep dive into markets at the age of 26. I'm going to try this earnings reports thing and I've got to study like, okay, how am I supposed to know? Well, he's like, no, VDSI is going to be good again next quarter. So I'm like, I'm doing this study for the next quarter, right? And the quarterly, oh, they give out these earnings reports quarterly. Oh, and they've got a dividend too. What's a dividend, Tuan? So Tuan's teaching me about what a dividend is. I'm like, okay, where do I learn this? I'm like, so I stop asking you 1,000 questions. Where do I learn it? Go to investtools.com. I'm like, all right, here we go. So my first experience into the markets was investtools.com. I don't even know if they're around anymore, but I have the bag. Like they gave you this bag with their logo across it. I still got it back here just for posterity's sake. It used to hang on my wall because I'm like, where it all began. And so I go into it. Short story on the end of that was basically I go in, like I'm going in heavy now because I'm thinking, you know, I got money to toss at this thing. So I'm like, I go like 25 grand in on an earnings report thing. And rather than making 8K in a night, my first experience is if you can have good news, but the stock go down. Okay. Yes, Twan was right. It was going to be good news, but the thing it had this run up to it and then it tanks at the earnings and I'm sitting there holding the bag and I've lost 8 grand overnight. Then the next day it goes down farther. I remember like it's down another 2,000. The next time it's down 12,000. I'm still holding this. And I'm like, 12,000. So finally at around like $16,000 of loss at this point, like I finally cut out. So my first experience into the market was not good.
Yeah.
And I obviously now am lit like a freaking fuse to figure out how the markets were going to work. So thank Twan for my initiation into the markets, at which time I decide I'm all in. I go and I study invest tools. They teach you MACD, stochastics, overbought, oversold, and 14 points of fundamentals. Now, mind you, the good part about that was that I started to recognize these little point system thing, okay, which is what we've done inside of AlgoBox, but like at the level that actually matters where you can execute on them. But 14 points of fundamentals for the company so that if an earnings report does come out, that you can decide whether or not you want to run with. Inside of that, I start executing. I get it. Overbought. I mean, you may as well just be an overbought, oversold buying scenario. They don't show you all the times when it doesn't work, right? They're showing you're sitting in a live seminar and they're like, look at all these places right here. When Microsoft, oh, here comes our turnover. Oh, it went perfectly down. Oh, here's where this one went. Oh, perfectly up. Oh, sign me up, baby. I can do that. So I'm going all in on that. I get wrecked. Next thing you know, I hear about prop firms. Prop firms used to be very popular back in the day because prop firms, you could get your hands on money, right? You get your hands on capital. They also had low commissions and you could execute frequently. So that was all the rage back then. I think everybody, you know, from Tom Dante to, you know, anybody who's out there, I think your guy, Sing Lucci and some of the guys have all talked about being in prop. And again, we were all in prop at our age. Like that was the thing because you did not have access like we do now to discount brokers and things. The only way you could do it was if you were in with them and in their pool, right?
Right.
So I get in with, you guys know who Oliver Velez is? You ever heard that name?
Mm-mm.
If you want to hear a very inspirational speaker, okay, Oliver Velez is your man. You will come away from any one of his videos on YouTube. He's still going right now. Oliver Velez, if you hear anything from him, you will feel inspired. You will feel like you've just learned something more about the markets from a psychological standpoint. He is a god, okay? So I'm in with his crew. He's teaching me actual technical stuff, which is pretty cool. And I learn a strategy called the 3-5-55. So some of my earliest strategies, it's basically 3 to 5 bars is why I call it this. I don't remember what he called it, but I called it later, like renamed it to go. I call it the 3-5-55. 3 to 5 bars in a direction. And this is like minute bars back when I actually used minute bars. Mm-hmm. Massive bars in a direction, 3 to 5, a 55% pullback of the next bar near a 20 or 50 EMA. Enter in on the next opening bar, hold the position, put the stop underneath. Very simple strategy. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Works pretty well. So I want to now start coding. Okay, because I'm going to use my coding background to go, I think me finding those, that's neat. But this is like when scanners were hardly even around. Okay, like the first one was Trade Ideas, still around to this day, but Trade Ideas was like one of the very first scanners.
Really? Yeah. I thought they were like a new invention. I had never heard of them before.
No, Trade Ideas has been around a long time. I've got screenshots back when they used to have a pink interface. Like it was pink and puke green. Like it was bad. But yes, with Velez Capital Management, they have the scanner thing. And then VCM had their own interface, which I was like, wow, you can have your own interfaces, but that's how these brokerages were working. They would take desk fees from me, right? I'm paying them like, I don't know, $800 a month just to have access to their stuff. Then it's my risk capital. It's my capital of the risk, but I'm trading with their funds. So I start out at like the 25K mark. I do pretty well. I bump up. They let me use 50K. Then I get from 50K to 100. My top I ever got to use with them, I was using $300,000 of their money at some point when the stock market really started to kind of shift and have problems.
So this was around 2006, 2007?
Yeah. And of course, you know, full crash there around the 2008 thing, right? So they go out of business though in 2008 and all of us lost.
Do you still have your IT job while you're working for this?
Yes. So at this time, I'm still working, trying to do both of these, but I took 6 months off. And my ex-wife thought I was crazy because I'm about to give up this $90 an hour job because I said, look, just give me 6 months to try this because I think that if I just dedicated my time to this, I could get this because it was back and forth, playing around with it. They'd give me 50K, I'd get up to 100K. I lose some. Next thing I'm getting bumped back down to 50K. Okay, I get up to 300. You know, I knew, I'm like, dude, I'm a competitor. And I feel like if I could dedicate my time to it, I could do it. So I said, I'm taking 6 months off. You know, things did not go well. Trading is extremely stressful as it is. And I take the time off and I start listening to, you know who, Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer's on TV every day. They had Fast Money on CNBC. You know, I'm plugged in. These guys must know what's up. They're on TV and they must be telling me the truth. So, you know, I'm sitting, I've got more notes from their crap, like what's going to move tomorrow? MSFT, what's ARCA, oh, NVDA, oh, VMW, you know, just all these signs and symbols, and you're chasing Momo bars and building my bull list, building my bear list, building my gap list, and putting it into this VECM thing. And again, I was still mostly like 3555 near the thing, because that was the thing I'd been taught with Velez. Now, in that group though, but when I take that 6 months off, you know, I just start losing bad. So, you know, it was like my ex-wife is basically like, yeah, see, I told you. Okay, like, yeah, you suck. And I'm like, dude, it was not good. Okay, not good. This is what I'm saying. Like, people see the everything put together and we're crushing it now. But man, you go through rough times. And I'm not saying you have to. You do not have to. I'm just telling you my experience, what I had to go through to get where we are. It was not an easy straight shot. So I'm getting wrecked in that 6 months. And of course, I give up my $90 an hour job. So, you know, she's pissed and, you know, all kind of stuff, drama around it, drama. And of course, I kept telling her, I was like, look, worst case scenario, I go back to work. Right? I'm like, I could go. I'm like, I'm young. And, you know, even my parents even were telling, like, dude, y'all young, y'all can be set. Like, it happens. Like, I get in there and I find the best guys inside of Velez's shop. Okay. And I want to talk with them. Now, they don't want to talk to me. They don't know who I am. They're like, who's this guy? And I really wasn't anybody. I'm just some coder. And I'm like, will you please, like, just, you know, let me see your stuff. And I'm like, dude, you know, you can't have access to those guys. I said, I'm working on this scanner code. I will ask them if they're interested in using the scanner code that I have so that I can filter the stocks for them, and it'll pop them in. Is that helpful to them? And let me talk to them. So all of a sudden I've got their attention because they know I can code. So all of a sudden, two of them, one of them was named Alan. Alan was a beast at that place. He was like, I mean, I don't know how much he was able to control, but the guy would be putting on like $200,000 trades, $500,000 trades, and they would always show his numbers, right? I just need to see what he's doing and I could probably reproduce it. I've just always been that person. Like, let me see it and I can reproduce. And I realized that it is about adjusting size. Now, again, he had his strategies too. He was always like looking for stocks that would bust 52-week highs. That was his moment. Almost sounds like a lot like Ross Cameron, honestly, like how just picking that big fat bar move and then trying to get into it, but he'd get in on a deep pullback. And then his thing was get in as close to where you think you're going to be wrong as possible. And he'd draw a line where he wanted to get in, and then he would wait. And that guy, I mean, we would just sit there. And this is about, you guys probably don't even know what this is. Y'all know what VNC Viewer is? Do you even know what that is? Mm-hmm. So VNC Viewer for us was like the way to screen share, and you'd have to be on a telephone because you can't do like what we're doing right now with these Zoom meetings. So I'm on VNC Viewer into his machine, letting me see his stuff, and I'm on a phone with him, on speakerphone, and, you know, talking through, and he's just, but we're like just having to shoot the breeze, and he's telling me about what he wants to do and asking me to code his stuff. So I code these filters for him, which is basically, it was basic stuff. It wasn't anything super complex, but that gave me access to a guy who was doing the things. Okay. And the big one that I pulled away from it was putting his entry wherever he thought he was going to be wrong. He's like, well, okay, I'll get in here. My stop would be here, but now I'm going to draw the line where that stop is going to be. He's like, now when the price gets really down there, I'm going to see if we get any volume to come in at that spot. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anybody pay attention to AlgoBox? You want to notice how I can pick up when the algos are kicking in, why I pick that up? Thank you, Alan.
We're in the 0809 era where the prop firm dies.
Alan, he all of a sudden at some point disappears. I don't know if they ran off with his money too or not, but all of a sudden, like, I can't get in contact with Alan anymore. But I had made that code stuff with that. And all of a sudden I am hearing about something called NinjaTrader with .NET. They say that it's a platform that I can code .NET code. So NinjaTrader was the first that I'd ever heard that had what I call a real language, right? No easy language, no any of that kind of stuff. And I was a C# guy. I mean, that's what I was coding for, C# and SQL back in. That was my bread and butter. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're going to let me code in my native language to execute trades or draw things on my chart? Time out. I'll get TD Ameritrade out of my face. I had Thinkorswim at the time. TD Ameritrade hadn't even bought Thinkorswim yet, but I was using Thinkorswim. I'm like, get out of my face. Who is this guy? And I study up and I listen to the guy who built NinjaTrader. And the guy called it NinjaTrader. Do you know why they call it NinjaTrader?
No.
because it seems like a funny name. I'm like, I was actually didn't take it serious at first. I'm like, why is it Ninja Trader? It sounds like, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't, at the time when you're trying to take things seriously, like it was not going to go well if I tell my ex-wife, hey, yeah, I'm going to use Ninja Trader. She's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It was not good, but I studied why he did it. It's because he's a code nerd kind of guy, but he said, I wanted to feel like I'm getting in and out of the markets and the market never knowing I was there. I'm sneaking in like a ninja and I'm out. I'm in and I'm out and I'm in and I'm out, not impacting, not going to get stop, run, all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, that's it. That's really interesting. I was in. At that point, I am in. I am going. So I'm trying to find somebody out there who does Ninja Traders. Okay. So I'm looking for guru furus out there. Who was after Velez? It was it Joseph James? Does that name ring a bell?
Isn't that guy that just got sued for like $4 million by the CFTC like a couple of years ago?
Yep. And somehow he's still on YouTube. I do not understand how this works with this system, y'all. But yes, that's not even his real name. Joseph James. I forget what he ended up finding out his real name is, but he worked as a janitor before. And, you know, I no offense to anybody who's had drug problems, okay, but he had been, you know, had run-ins with deals with drugs and ATF and stuff when you come to find out. And all the stuff that was on his LinkedIn was all lies. All the LinkedIn stuff, all him being #1 in all these places and winning all these things, like it was all fake. And so that's why the FTC and whatnot, you know, borked him. But he didn't get any jail time or anything, I guess, whatever the fine was. And he's out there on YouTube still selling his stuff. But backing up, here's the good parts. Again, always take the good with the bad. I went through his program. I bought his $5,000 lifetime package thing because his Ninja Trader tools were still far and above the first thing I had ever seen that had anything that was neat, right? Anything non-normal, right? There was something on there that had a crosshair. Forget what he called it. It was a fib. JJ's Fibs. JJ Fibs. Holy cow. Joseph James Fibs. That was his thing. And it would have this crosshair where he would get a 50% pullback on this one and a 50 timing line. And I was like, holy crap. Well, I'll tell you what, some of that is in the base of what we have. SMLK lines, mind you, I measure completely differently. I am internally using zones to measure out and project out, but it is a method to project out into the future where an event may occur. So I start getting a lot of information from him. He had pretty cool tools. I don't know who his dev guy was. He would never let me talk to his dev. I was so angry. I was like, dude, what the F? So I'm like, here, can I code this? Like, here, let me try to code this. You know, send it over to him. Well, all of a sudden, like, he starts getting mad at me. So Joseph James ended up kicking me out of his crew. Like, I paid for lifetime. I started getting mad. I'm like writing nasty grams. Like, I'm going to sue you. Like, what the, you can't kick me out of your crew. Well, and I had already been there for like a year. Okay. So I had already spent a year there. He had good tools, but you know, so I'm like, man, he's got some pretty neat tools. He had this thing that was a pace of tape. It was called the JJ pace of tape, which if you guys start to look in and to study how I am detecting the algorithms that are coming in speed, he had one that would color like green, yellow, red. And like, I started to realize like internally to that, and he was like down at like the second level. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. So I'm reading the tape level now, but he was doing it per second. So again, it was actually, I'll be honest, it was good. The thing is when Joseph James went under, he lost all his ability to have any of those tools. Like Ninja Trader cut him off. So he can't use their tools. He can't put their stuff out there. So you'll notice Joseph James is still using Ninja Trader, but look at his stuff now. He has no custom tools. He's just drawing lines on charts like manually. But dude, he used to have some pretty cool looking tools. So, you know, from my history and background, like knowing what they did, I started coding my own stuff. And when they went under, I was like, well, shoot, I mean, I'm coding all of my own stuff now. So I'm sitting in there and everything that you see here now comes from background of being through Fubu Gurus. I went through Vest Tools, went through Oliver Velez Capital Management. But then when I'm in prop, I finally get to sit behind some real guys, see some real size, see some real how they're managing their positions, knowing that, dude, these guys who tell you, hey guys, just get in 1 contract, 2 contracts and go, dude, that's not how the guys that are really making money are trading. They're not trading 2 lots. Okay. Yeah. I just perfected. It's like that whole thing when I say, I didn't invent the chicken, but I invented the chicken sandwich. Yeah. We're at chicken sandwich level, building my tools out. Look, these didn't just come in overnight. So if you guys watch my videos from back to 2016, the first day that I turned on a camera happened because my buddy AC comes to me and he says, you know, like some other people need to see what you're doing, man. This is really freaking cool. Like you need to go on YouTube. And I was like, dude, I'm not doing that. No, YouTube Live. It's this thing. Mind you, everybody today thinks, oh, YouTube Live, everybody's got it and whatnot. But dude, YouTube Live is still kind of new, but it was brand new in like 2015. And my buddy literally, like, he had talked to me about it for months. He kept saying, dude, just go. I'm like, I didn't know how to do it. Didn't know what it was. So he's like, let me come over and I'm just going to show you how easy it is. Use OBS. And I'm like, what's OBS? Like, well, this stuff here that you see now is OBS. And now I'm like, I do everything in OBS. So thanks, AC. He's back down in H-Town now. But he said, here, Vinny, let me do this for you. He comes over to my desk and he literally goes, here. Clicks, and he had set up this camera back behind me because I was like, dude, I'm not going to have a camera in my face. I'm not going to do all this stuff. Like, there's all kinds of freaking weirdos out there. I had all this aversion to all this kind of stuff. But he puts it back. He's like, here, we'll put it back here. And I'm like, yeah, let's do the over the shoulder thing. Okay. And I'm just going to show my full auto system, which is what I was doing. I was showing my fully automated system. It wasn't my discretionary. I was not discretionary as much as I am now. My full auto system, I would actually play it like I'm managing my employees. So I would run it across 7 or 8 instruments. And so I could just kick back and be like, yeah, what do y'all want to talk about today? Basically, like these other, scam kids that sit there and like, they're going to hit the buttons and they're like martingaling in and like adding to their position until they blow up because they can just be like, yeah, I'm just managing this one position. Let me talk to you guys about how awesome I am so you can come buy my stuff and, pay my bills. All right.
Or pay for this account. Right?
Yes. Yeah, because I'm going to blow this one out next week. That's what they're usually doing. But yeah, I had, if you watch my first sets of videos, like I've got them all in like 6x squares up across, and I would just let the bots do their thing. If they ended up negative on the day, at the afternoon, I would come in discretionarily and basically go, okay, how far are they in the red? All right, they're down 700. Cool. So now discretionarily, I would enter in the afternoon, knowing what the market layout was, because I've been watching my bots and how they got either did well or got wrecked that day. And I'm like, okay, I can tell this is going to be, it's a sideways day, or it's going to be a all-time highs level day. Let's push it. And so I am now overriding my bots. That was my kind of strategy, was like, let my bots do their thing. If they come out with a plus 1,000, awesome. I don't got to do nothing. I'd maybe tag in some bonus money at the end of the day, or they get wrecked. And I'm like, okay, well, let me see if I can try to get back to it. So that's what people used to watch. If you watch my old videos, that's what you would be watching. And yes, that was easy for me to sit out there because people are like, Vinny, why don't you stream now? Why don't you stream all day? Every freaking day, of course, at the time, I didn't have any kids or anything either. And now I got 4 kids. Like, well, I got three kids and one on the way, one due in November. My kids are having to do homeschool now, thanks COVID and, crazies out there. Like, I don't want my kids out there in public at this point. My family's been threatened so many times. Like, if I was going to do it, I'd put them in private school, or I'm hiring private tutors to come to my house because I'm not going to put them into public. I've been threatened way too many times, so not happening. But, just a lot of life changes, and my style has changed. Like, to our tools, again, I just kept building out tools this entire time. Now I've got 8 years of awesome stuff in our system. This isn't just, again, it wasn't like, you go back to my old videos, you'll be like, where's your SMLK lines? Didn't exist. Where's your 2-finger salutes? Didn't exist. Where's your harmonics? Didn't exist. My Fib Elliots was the first ones that I completed out. That was not my first ones. I mean, my Autobots were working on the same concepts behind it, but I didn't have the visuals. So dots came and everybody was like, oh, I mean, this is this holy grail moment of like, dude, this is great, because I had multi-level confluence behind multi-fib, which, there's a lot of fib players, right? But like if you have not just one Fibonacci level, but you've got 2 or 3 lined up in the same area on different impulse legs, they all land in that one spot. So I would detect that spot plus an Elliott wave that landed right there. And then I added additional points of confluence up to 15, which is where we get our colors from. So that's how we know the strength of that dot. And so that's where that calculation comes through. So then we continue to add through. And now, we can take small accounts, because that's the problem with as we already stated at the very beginning, those who are tuning in just now, like, to trade full auto, you've got to have a large account size. And not everybody who's starting into trading has a large account size. No. So the freedom that we kind of bring into it is, I'll help you to kind of get in. I don't want to say I help you. My tools really are doing all the work. It's what we joke around here is like, let the tools do the work. But with your small account, get a very pinpoint entry location where you've got so many things lined up for you. Like, it's stupid. I am coming from multi-time frame, multi-confluence, and very powerful studies, which are everything from harmonics, Elliott wave, multi-fib levels, plus order flow, which is why those pinpoint entries are so powerful. And you literally see, if you see one of my setups, boom, all of a sudden the market moves right at that spot, because I'm also detecting the algos kicking in right there. They have no choice. And that happens in futures. It doesn't happen in stock, because on the futures, we've got a centralized exchange. Everybody's orders are seen. So you can guarantee yourself that it's happening right there. So, that's where that's where we're able to capitalize on that. But yeah, that's where it all came from. That's the history of our craziness and how AlgoBox came to be. And we're at version 8.5 now, where, it's kind of sick. And yes, we still have the full auto system, but like, just imagine, okay, you know what a headshot is. If you learn our headshot strategy, well, headshots can be full auto. They're full auto, like just like you, like literally full auto, boom, turn it on, run it. You want 2-finger salutes, full auto, boom, 2-finger salutes, run full auto. Now, again, I recommend the same way that you do, because I've studied and listening to what you've said, is you have to spread it across multiple assets, right? You're not putting all your eggs in one basket and letting this one, because you're going to have the drawdowns. What you're trying to do is balance out your drawdowns. So you have to have capital to be able to deploy across 7 or 8 instruments. And people don't understand that either. Like, how much does your bot make? And it's like, their singular thought process is one bot, one instrument. The univision is hard to break out of the tunnel vision to start telling them that they have to do multiples. They think that you're just BSing it.
Yeah, it's the same ideology of like, what's the best strategy or what's the best indicator? It's like, that doesn't exist.
When I do my sign-offs at the end of every video, and I'm like, for me, Pippi, Robbie, Lunchbot, Modspot, Curtis G, and the rest of the gang. Okay, that Pippi and Robbie, those are my first 2 robots. Now, I'll talk to you about this on your robotic system. So, I built a 2-robot system where one feeds information to the other, which allows you to reduce your drawdown, which is really what you're trying to control. Like, yeah, your system's going to make money when you get what I call the cadence run. The cadence is going to be, okay, lose, lose, win, 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 lose, lose, win, 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 lose, win, lose, 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 lose. What you want to do is to stop that one where it's the lose, 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 because I don't know, whatever the market has shifted to, that you want to mitigate for. So having a optimization schedule, then optimizing intraday as the markets are moving with a bot that's what I call the pre-run. Like, you got a runner that's out there like going da 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 da, like going out there just getting wrecked, right? Just be like, and feeding information back to the other one, whether or not they should basically go, yeah, take this one or don't take this one. So that's Pippi and Robbie. Pippi always gets wrecked. So we used to joke about, if you watch my old videos, be like, oh, poor Pippi. Pippi's down 1,100, but Robbie smashing 550 in Vinny's account today. Get you some, all that crap. But poor Pippi, we always have like, oh, if you'll play the violin for Pippi, Pippi's got wrecked again. So Pippi and Robbie, that's what those are. And those were before AlgoBox. And yeah, so that's what it is. But yeah, about 8 years.
But Curtis G is a real person, right?
Curtis G is a real person. He is not somebody who started with me. He's not somebody who did that. He found me like after 3 months of me being out there live. So I go, like, the first time AC goes there, presses the button on the camera for me back in it was January 2016. Because I remember it was like after New Year's, all this stuff. I'm like, because we were talking about, he's like, come on, man, New Year's resolution, you got to do it. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, fine, let's do it. We'll have fun. We'll have some fun. Fine. Let's go out there and have some fun. Yeah, I wasn't selling anything, whatever. I was just going out there to be like, I'm doing a dual robot system, and here we go. All right, let's have some fun, see who we can collect. And from that, I'm trying to also teach a biblical perspective, which is, my philosophical and spiritual thing where I came through. Because like after my ex-wife, like I really went into this major spiritual like awakening of sorts. So I went through 3 years after that where I was like deep dived into what everybody calls spirituality, religion, and things of that sort, and really digging into the Christian faith where my roots came from in my understanding. So when I went through that, I really, had this desire to help people. And I was just like, well, how can I give back? I had this thing, you go through these moments, right? So that's where all that kind of historical comes from. So I'm like, okay, I'll attract people with, hey, look what we can do with this. And then, hey, by the way, I'm also going to tell you something. I'm also going to teach you some stuff, like some stuff that we want to know, philosophically speaking, about the world, the universe, why we exist, why we're here, type of conversations in my perspective. So that's where it all started. We press the button, we go live, and Curtis G shows up in March, I think, March or April, because we always joke about which one of the guys came first. There was one guy who used to be like, no, I was Vinny's first guy. I remember the first day he clicked out there, and I was like, hey, you're on live. What are you doing? And then we just, general talk, a conversation, kind of like, oh, you're playing a video game. Somebody comes on here like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? But no, Curtis was, he was actually part of some other groups. He was a big Forex guy back in the day. He had a lot of experience in other places, and he had been following me for a while. I had gotten to a level of place in my life where I trusted no one. So I basically put Curtis through hell. I mean, absolute hell, testing him whether or not he was truly loyal, because I had already had a moderator before him that basically tries to go out there and backstab and trying to do all kinds of stuff, go and redo his own little thing, all that kind of whatnot. So I'd already been through that. I'm like, and I thought he was going to be good. My new wife now had told me, she's like, yeah, I kind of had a bad feeling about that. I was like, what? But with Curtis, you know, she's like, don't trust anybody on the internet and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. But Curtis just consistent. I mean, he would come and show up at my live streams like every day, man. Like he would just be like, hey man, let's hang out. He wanted to know how we were doing, what we're doing. Of course, I just thought he's trying to run a scheme on me. So I put him to the ringer. I ended up running a background check on him, and I'm like,
oh my God,
you mother effer, you're running a Forex, blah, blah, blah. I see your name at this and that. So, you know, I do one of my usual, like, I'm going to wreck you piece on Curtis, but Curtis is such a good person. Okay. Curtis, like, I mean, there's these very few people that I trust. All right. And he's on that handful of folks that I'm like, yeah, I trust Curtis with my life. He's a good dude. And he put up with me when I literally tried to throw hellfire and brimstone. Mind you, a lot of it was test. So the crew with Curtis, like if I'm going to have somebody close and internal to me who's going to, you know, roll with us. And he was like, hey, Vinny, you know, I'm a coder. I can code, man. I think, look, everybody says they can code, right? I mean, how many people have you approached me? Hey, man, come on, tell me what you do because I can code. Like, what? Is that an incentive for me to like just start to tell you all because you can code? No, like, you know, so Curtis, you know, I'm going to tell him again, bro, you're a badass. I'm sure you're going to listen to this later, but you know, Curtis, way to go, way to knock it out of the park going through me, because look, if you guys have seen what I've done to the scammers out there, okay, those scammers, I mean, you guys saw a scammer the other day cry on a live stream. Okay. That is the level of crap that I will, if you come at me, you're going to be hurting. But Curtis, I mean, I put him through the ringer. Okay. I did. And he came out on the other side, and he knows that, you know, I know that he's a good dude, and yeah, he's got my back. So Curtis G, I always give him the shout outs on it. And of course, my H-Town is representative of where I came from.
Right.
And
well, that's interesting because I just didn't know, because I would hear them and I thought, okay, I was like, I know Curtis. I know he's real. He's probably not a bot. Lunchbot is obviously a bot. Bot's in the name. But the other two, I was like, I've never seen or heard these people. So
yeah, that's a classic. You would have had to watch my classic videos, go all the way back to 2016 and watch my first ones. And you see Pippi and Robbie. And I literally would have their P&Ls up on the top left. So you could watch them battle back and forth. You notice Pippi's always in the red. He was like, oh, your bots suck. And I'm like, again, I have been trolled so much. Again, learned the nastiest people on the internet that exist. It's sick. But yeah, that was Pippi and Robbie. And then H-Town came from a guy, Sam Malone, in the morning show from Houston. He died years ago. I believe it was cancer. It was some kind of thing like that. Died semi-young, but he was on a morning show every morning when I would go to school, driving to work. Sam Malone in the morning show and Maria. Sam and Maria, you know, doing their talk show in the morning and stuff. And he would always give out at the end of his broadcast, he just, oh, it's giving me chills thinking about it. Like he would give this, see ya, like that. Nobody can repeat what he did. I mean, I try, like I do my best to see ya that I can give, but he would always do these charity funds for kids and stuff. Just, you know, a good dude. Right. And so my sign off at the end of all of our videos is, you know, it's a little bit of some throwback back to home with some Sam Malone in the morning show and giving him some love. And so, you know, when I have opportunities to give and donate.
Can I ask you a personal question though?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay. First of all, you know, we've all been trolled, but in my opinion, from what I've seen, now I've been a part of the trading education arena, if you will, or what's been out there for over a decade, but I've never seen anyone go through the things that you have gone through. Why do you think these people react that way to you, other than just being a bad person? It goes to an extreme. Like, I don't understand. You have done nothing to them personally. I don't know what do you think about yourself is like threatens them or like.
You just said it. I believe, and I actually try to get other people's opinions on this because I'm not just pushing out here being like, oh, it's my ego to roll. Again, I'm not telling anybody that I don't have an ego. I do. I definitely have an ego, and I'm confident and proud of what we do and what we work through, and gotten to a point where I'm like, yeah, I'll flex on occasion. And from what they do, the level that they do it is because I will not be in their clique. And I am a threat to them because, honest to goodness, our system, when you hold it next to any of theirs, they know it, I know it, but they cannot show it. Because if you say my name, if you say AlgoBox, their entire crew will leave them because our system, it's just badass. And again, obviously this is my opinion, but I've back it up with the results from my members, not mine, not just going like, oh, any Furu guru can go out there and fake P&Ls all freaking day and Photoshop stuff.
Or even if you're a real, even if you're a real trader, no one gives a shit about you. They want to see the results of the people that are around you.
Yes, but most of them, what you'll notice, most of them cannot produce results from themselves, much less their members. Okay. So when they understand, like when I'm out here showing member results, showing my results with a tool set that literally is giving these pinpoint entry locations that you can literally trade the market like a video game with your approach, it's hard to debate because they have to protect their education. They're trying to sell education. I give the education away for free. Every offering, if you're trying to compare, if you want to say, oh, well, we're the same and you can just pick one, look, they don't mind talking about each other. Oh, you can pick Matt's. Oh, you can pick mine. If you like my personality, you have me. If you like his personality, like you have him. We're all just trying to, do the market. We're all just happy. But then there's mine. I'm not trying to get in their face about it. In fact, again, I will enter in by going, hey, I'm going to give you a $5,500 donation and I can still get slapped around. Like there's a problem, right? And because of the level of threat, because first of all, who in this space can actually go out there and drop $5,500 on just a donation? And when they've heard that, oh, I also did the same thing with Tom Dante when he was donating to the COVID fund for Italy when Italy was going crazy, like to hear those type of things going on and all of a sudden they panic because they're like, oh, we've been trying to keep Vinny hidden. Because again, these guys, our groups are small in futures. Okay. There's only a few in this space. And if you see our stuff, their stuff just does not, the quality level that I have put into our product, and I have gone to nth links. I'm OCD about everything. Everything's got to be just right and just, crushing it and killing it and all the work that I've put into it. They have not, though. Honestly, that's the thing. They know they haven't put in the work. They know they just turn on the camera and they're trying to click buttons on Thinkorswim. I have created something. They don't have anything that they've created. And I believe that is a massive threat to their livelihood. And I understand now why the vehemence comes from that, because these guys live on sub money. They live on view counts. They live on affiliate links. And they have to gang up because they can't beat me in a contest for sure. They can't beat my members. My members are beating Ross right now in the small account trading contest. Genius. My members are like challenging themselves to see if they can beat Ross. My members are beating me and Ross.
No, I just think it's very strange how people react to you. Strange. And, it makes sense.
Basically put them out of business, and that's dangerous. They have to do everything they can to keep themselves afloat. People don't go around and go, hey man, what's the worst trading service? Nobody says that. Hey man, what's the mediocre trade service? No, when they go ask their friend, they say, what's the best trading service? Well, unfortunately, there is a standout in the future space where what we do, it's kind of hard to argue that with discretionary trading, with the algo assisted, when the markets are controlled by algorithms and you're fighting back with an algorithmic trading tool, in my opinion, it's the best. And that's hard to argue with. And so when people start asking about it,
it doesn't matter. It's just the results are, at the end of the day, the results are all that matters. And the thing is like, I was just curious, even though I kind of knew the answer, why these people reacted the way they did. And if you react in a way of anger, the way that these people did, they're probably not making money trading. And you're right, they're probably, relying on subscribers, because if you were actually making money and you actually cared about your students or subscribers, you would try to offer them the best possible thing you could, because not everyone is going to trade, or they could sign up for your stuff, but they may not want that. They may want something different. So why would you not do the time and the research to say, hey, I know my stuff isn't for you, or maybe you learned something here, but check this out too, because this seems like right up your alley. Yeah,
I'd actually love to hear their excuses for it, but they always tell you everything that you ever hear is a lie. That's the sick part, and that's all it's like, man, you can't work off of truth, work off some truth, and
and be humble, but be humble. Like trading is really hard, and if you're gonna run a service, just be honest with yourself that people aren't always going to they may pick up stuff from you, but that may not be how they trade in the future. And be supportive of your students. When my students or subscribers came to you, they were like, I'm going with this. I was like, beautiful, go. I know that's what you're into. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's the difference between you, which I will say, there's a designation between two different types of people. There is a good person, there is a not good person. That's just, It's as simple as that.
It was just, I find it crazy what happened to you.
It really is. And good people all say that. I mean, these guys, because they're an echo chamber for each other, like they all act like, oh yeah, Vinny's been pinned as the devil. But dude, if you're inside anybody outside of their groups, wise and intelligent people, you go sit inside of my Discord chat and they all know, and they support me and what we're doing here. They just keep showing results. That's what we just keep doing. It's like, dude, let's just go to the next trading content. Like, we just tell people, put your money where your mouth is. You want to talk? Let's go toe to toe. We'll do a trading competition. I'm not saying like you can't go to these other groups or yours or options, like macro hedges and options and stuff. Like, go over to options. Like, I don't know why they were just so desperate to like go, you could not be beaten in a contest. Like, why is that such a massive, I get it. It's a massive ego hit.
All right. So Vinny, what is your plan for AlgoBox in the future? Do you have anything that you want to add to it? Do you want to take it somewhere different? What do you see the future of your company, or what you?
Yeah. So when you look forward, what's interesting is most of the stuff, like this is almost like trading instantaneously. I'm always looking at, well, what is it right now? Boom. What's the absolute best right now? And there's a Bible passage that says that don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own thing. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. There's so many things that I'm dedicating to into intra moment. I feel like it's hard for me to look out into the future, but in the same way, if you watch AlgoBox for the last few years, it's adapted. I feel like all we're going to do is continue to adapt to, like, if something new occurs or something stops working for some reason. I don't know how a harmonic structure would stop working or being able, like, let's say they change the CME. If the CME was now distributed, we'd have a problem. Okay. Like, if what's another one? Like some crazy event would occur, like if micros and minis split volume, which they kind of do, but if it became drastic where everybody's on micros, and there were events that could occur and change, how would we adapt to that? I just know that I would be mentally aware to be watching for those things and trying to prepare the best that you can. And you never have 100% guarantees in anything in life. The risk and reward comes with the risk. You can't have the reward without some risk. But into the future, things that I see, I actually joked recently when I finished out Flowmaster, which a lot of people only know about AlgoBox. Okay, but internally to AlgoBox is a system or trademarking internally called Flowmaster. And Flowmaster is, like, everybody knows order flow was such a hot thing years ago. Even now, it's sort of like the buzzword. Unfortunately, the tools that are out there left, like Footprint and things of that sort, they look cool, but they are massively lacking in ability to pick direction. Yes, an event occurred. Thank you. I'm glad you can detect that. So part one is good, but being able to directionally detect it, that's where we took it to the next level with Flowmaster. And the Flowmaster system via the audio controls and the visuals, we're very proud of, and stuck inside there. That is it. Like, there's no way to make this better. Like, I have trapped the market in this thing. It's like, because what you're trying to do is I am working these pieces to go, blah, 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 got you. That's my whole plan, is to go, I get big picture, where are we going? Here we go. Where's my done? Get my timing, and boom. That's the way I picture it, is bam, right there. All this stuff, man's right there. And I hear them coming. There we go. And so that I've locked it in. And before I had AudioBox, I would have said, yeah, but I don't. But now that I have the Flowmaster box included internally, and it can be on full auto with the Delta flagging, I feel like I'm done. I'll be honest. Like, if you want to write it down today, Vinny said he was done July 24th, 2021 at 6 p.m. my time. That I feel like there's nothing more. What will come from here is actually additional automation for the stuff that I have in the gold pack. So there are things that are not included. I did finish out the current worm of Delta, but now what I'm going to be doing is combining those further and doing dual robot systems that feed each other and distributing them and visualizing them publicly. That's the next thing. So when you guys start to see next year, when you got the 2 robot system, nostalgia, maybe Pippi Robbie, but I feel like I'm going to ask the community, maybe you guys can help me come out with some 2 names. I need 2 new names for our bots that will be coming, that will incorporate the additional Flowmaster components, and they're going to be so powerful that I am willing to go ahead and let's watch them run in public and in live stream format. So I think that's what's coming next.
Well, Vinny, this has been quite a pleasure to talk with you, and I appreciate all your insight and your humility about certain things. We should definitely do this again.
We'll have to do a follow up and see, especially when we get the full auto thing. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah. Do you have any last words?
Play hard, pray hard, work hard. That's all I got. Thanks, bro. I appreciate your time, sir. Always a pleasure.
What's going on, everyone? Thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, please click subscribe and hit the bell notification. Remember, it's not enough just to subscribe anymore. For some fangled reason, YouTube makes you click 2 buttons. That's not my fault, okay? So you have to click subscribe, and then if you want to get notified on new videos, you have to turn on the bell notification.